Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nathan Smith, and I will be your judge in today's case of the state of Texas versus Mr. Arthur Boo Radley. Members of the jury have been given two rubrics for today's case, one for prosecution and one for defense. Please follow along closely to the case and mark each category correctly. At the end, you will determine the state prosecution team provided their case or not by casting your vote of yes or no. During the trial, I ask that you remain seated and quiet. Please hold any questions until the end of the case, where they may be directed to our court reporter, Evan Busowich. The court is now officially in session. Bailiff, please read your police report out loud.
I'm reporting Officer Casey Smith from Macomb County Sheriff's Office. On March 11, 1960, Atticus Finch reported a murder in the woods of Bob Ewell. Witnesses Scout and Jim reported their statements, and I will read those aloud. Jim and Scout Finch were walking back from a school event when they got followed and assumed it was their friend, but ended up being attacked by a stranger. Soon after, a man started attacking the attacker. Scout looked over and saw Bob Ewell dead. Our suspects is Boo Radley, and he's male, with brown eyes, brown hair, age 33, and 5'10", and weighs 175 pounds.
Calling the case of the people of the state of Texas versus Arthur Boo Radley, are both sides ready? Prosecution, please provide your opening statement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm Meredith McElhaney, the lead prosecution in this case. I'm here along with my team to open your eyes to the truth of that dreaded fall day in Macomb County. October 31st, Halloween, the day that Arthur Boo Radley used the weapon Mr. Bob Ewell intended to be used for the harming or killing of Jim and Jean Louise Finch against him. Arthur Radley left Bob Ewell bloodied, beaten, and dead with a kitchen knife Bob brought from home, quote, stuck up under his ribs, end quote. By the end of this case, we hope to see a verdict of guilty. Now I would like to bring to your attention what exactly this case is about. It is about a passerby of this incident who got a little too carried away with his protection of the aforementioned Jim and Jean Louise Finch. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution team has three witnesses that we'd like to call to stand today. The first is an eyewitness who saw the whole scene, Jean Louise Finch. Second is Jim Finch, who was also an eyewitness and who was also injured. Third, we have Arthur Radley himself, the defendant on trial before you today. Four witnesses. And finally, Officer Heck Tate, who insists on the fact that Bob, quote, fell onto his knife. The defense may argue that the defendant has no motive to kill. However, my team will show you, the jury, that the defendant has a relationship with the children, providing him a protective instinct over them. By the end of this case, we hope to see a verdict of guilty, and to show everyone here that our justice system is still keeping us safe. Thank you.
Defense, please provide your opening statement.
Good morning. I'm Charles Steiner, the lead defense attorney for this case. I will be representing Arthur Radley, otherwise known as Boo Radley, who has been falsely accused of the murder of Bob Ewell. For the conclusion of this case, we ask for the verdict of not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about Mr. Radley and Mr. Ewell and how the prosecution claims that Arthur had stabbed him. The defense will call four witnesses to the stand. Ms. Scout Finch to give her account of what happened, and Mr. Jim Finch for the same reason. Our third witness is Sheriff Heck Tate to tell us about what he found at the scene of the crime. And our last witness is Helen Robinson to tell us a bit about Bob Ewell. For the conclusion of this case, I show that Mr. Radley is innocent and show the state has not met its burden of proof. Thank you.
Prosecution, please provide your reasons and call each witness to the stand for questioning.
Alright, our first reason is that it could not have been Jim. We know that Jim's arm was already broken during the time of Bob Ewell's death, and he is unconscious at that point because of what Jean Louise told Officer Heck Tate after the incident. Our second point is that Bob was there the whole time. In Jean Louise's testimony, she said that there were 4 people under the tree. And after she told her testimony, she pointed to Boo and said that he was there. And then our final reason is that Scout never said that he fell onto his knife. Once again, the only one who said that he fell was Mr. Tate, and you wouldn't get up and lean against a tree after falling hard from where you're standing and being stabbed. Human nature is to brace yourself when harmed or stabbed. Our first witness we'd like to call to the stand is Jean Louise Finch. Jean Louise, what did you see happen to Bob Ewell?
I didn't see exactly how it happened because it was dark, but I know Bob Ewell attacked us, choking Jim. But then Boo Radley showed up and pulled Bob off. They fought some, and then Bob was killed.
Did you see him, quote, fall onto his knife? If not, what happened with the knife?
I didn't see him fall on his knife, but I didn't know exactly what happened.
Was Arthur Radley the 4th man under the tree?
Yeah, I believe so. Boo was there watching us the whole time.
What has Arthur Radley done for you in the past?
He left me and Jim small gifts under the tree. He also fixed Jim's pants when he left them on the fence.
Why did you point Arthur out in Jim's room when Mr. Heck Tate asked you who was there?
Because Boo Radley was with us, he's the one that saved our life.
Thank you. We would now like to call Jim Finch to the stand. Jim, when the attack started, what did you see from your perspective?
Me and Scout were walking home, and then suddenly I heard footsteps behind us. I realized we were in danger, and I shouted at Scout to run. Just then, I felt the strong, large arms drag me down, and I did my best to fight back, but he was too strong.
Did you or did you not pass out?
I did. When I was grabbed, I heard Scout scream in a sharp pain. I felt a sharp pain in my elbow, and I was immediately overwhelmed with pain, and everything went black.
Thank you. The next witness we would like to call to the stand is the defendant himself, Arthur Boo Radley. Arthur, what happened in this incident?
I heard children's screams, and then I knew I had to help. I ran in that direction. To my horror, I found a large man attacking the kids. I began to exert all my strength to tear him away from the girl, but I knew I couldn't hold back. I had to be aggressive to make sure the kids were safe. I began to search for Jim, and I found him, and I hurried to pick him up, and then I started up the hill towards his house.
If you only came to pick up Jim, how did you know he was injured in the first place?
I heard Jim's screams. I knew he must have been hurt or was about to be hurt.
How did you know they needed help?
The screams.
Why were you outside?
Nighttime's the only time I can go outside without being seen. People don't like me.
Have you or have you not done things in the past for these children?
I have.
Did you fix Jim's pants the time you left them on the fence?
I did.
Thank you. Our final witness we would like to call to the stand is Mr. Heck Tate. Mr. Tate, how was Bob killed?
He was stabbed with a knife.
Did Jim do it?
No, there's no way he could have done it. Jim was knocked out, unconscious. I'm sure he didn't do it.
Where was the exact position of the kitchen knife in Bob Ewell's ribs?
The kitchen knife was stuck up under his ribs.
Were you lying to Mr. Finch?
I'm not a lying man, but since I wasn't there, I'm just taking an honest guess.
How was Bob Ewell lying when you found him?
Bob Ewell was lying on his back.
And what did Scout tell you about the attack?
Not much details because it was black, but she knew me things because she was there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Defense, please provide your reasons and call each witness to the stand for questioning.
Sheriff Hectate said that Bob Ewell had tripped over a root and fallen on his own knife. The second, why would Boo do it? He has zero motive to kill Bob Ewell. And third, Boo does not like confrontation or people. Our first witness is Scout Finch. Do you remember seeing anything specific to the stabbing of Bob Ewell? Do you have
No, sir, I didn't because my costume only had a small hole to see out of.
What do you remember seeing up to when you arrived back to your home?
All I saw was Boo carrying Jim back to the house in a hurry and Jim's arm dangling like crazy. And I saw 4 other people under the tree.
What did you hear leading up to the attack?
I heard footsteps and rustling trees.
Did you notice the attacker carrying anything other than the knife?
No, sir, I didn't.
Despite it being dark out, did you see anything else?
Just fast movement, but they were hard to see out of my costume.
Thank you. Our next witness is Jim Finch. So Jim Finch, what do you remember leading up to being knocked out?
I remember hearing noises and thinking nothing of it. We almost reached the road. When the guy we heard started running after us and heard him run faster. I screamed for Scout to run as I get pulled back. I break free and I saw Scout on the ground and tried grabbing her to the road, but I get knocked down and remember screaming in pain and then nothing. Everything went black.
Did you notice the attacker carrying anything other than the knife?
I don't recall seeing anything else, but I remember smelling a lot of whiskey when I got back.
Did you see anything?
No, sir, I didn't. Me and Scout didn't make it to the street light before being attacked.
How many people was it that you saw?
I saw only Scout. I couldn't see anyone else.
So you did see Scout's face.
I saw Scout because of the fat streaks in her costume. The person who painted them with shiny silver stuff, I couldn't see the man. It was too dark.
Thank you. Our next witness is Sheriff Hectate. From what you learned from the crime scene and from the story of Scout Finch, in your words, what happened?
Bob tried to kill Scout and Jim. Bob was drunk. Boo saved them both, and then I found a knife stuck under Bob's rib.
Do you still stand by the statement of Bob Ewell fell onto his own knife?
Yes, sir, I do.
Did you notice any stray items around the scene of the crime?
I found Scout's dress and a funny-looking piece of muddy-colored cloth.
Did Bob Ewell have any injuries other than the killing wound?
He did have some scrapes, but that's all I remember seeing.
Thank you. Our next witness is Helen Robinson. Tell us all that you know about Bob Ewell.
He's a jawless racist and tends to drink away the relief checks that are meant to feed his many children. He is vicious towards Atticus Finch. He has no softness, no kindness, no goodwill. He is unable to see the value of pulling himself up even when the opportunity presents himself.
So what else would you say, what would you say he's known for around the town of Macomb?
Being drunken, vicious, and a racist, and being a bad father.
Thank you.
We will now take a 4-minute recess to give each side time to present counter arguments and rebuttals.
So, question, since you're not there, criminal record can be satisfied, so there's, so, he did not kill his father, so you should be able to bring it up, because he was a juvenile when it happened. Number three, who was out on the crime scene at the time, so far outside his house. Also, there's the school. It was Bob, not Boo. So easy way to get back. And
Bless you.
looking at something.
You're fine. Can you see
I
that?
suppose it does. Do you think making book references, or are we just? Is this where we'll just?
So they all have Picazilia feathers in their hair now. It's so cute.
Anybody have any questions about any of the information we have? It was, she didn't say it, but it was described, and she was bobbing his hands, and he fell over, and there's something that we were talking about what happened a lot. So, I don't know. I'm just dropping it. Yeah. Oh, wait. Specifically this portion right here. Scout didn't say it, but it was described in the account of the attack. So we get to bring that up, right?
Prosecution, share your counter argument and rebuttal one.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the assistant prosecuting attorney, and the reasons for our rebuttal information, the sheriff said that he tripped on a root and fell. Jean Louise, who was actually there, said he was flung to the ground in her testimony, and the knife was stuck under his ribs. So your natural instinct, if he was to fall, is to brace yourself against something, not fully lean on the ground. Why would Boo do it? He has very few reasons. On the contrary, he has an odd relationship with the kids, but he brings them gifts and he mends Jim's pants when they were flung on a tree. He has tried to help the children in the past. And Boo does not like people, and he hides behind the door in Jim's room. No one ever said that Boo was an introvert. His parents forced him to stay inside because they thought he was dangerous. Miss Maudie told Jim and Jean Louise that he was a very dangerous person and everyone in Macon feared him. But Jim and Jean Louise has always been curious about Boo. So they have a closer connection than anyone else. Thank you.
Defense, share your counter argument and rebuttal one.
So first, We completely agree. It was not Jim. His arm was broken and he was unconscious during the time of the attack. Third, he did not kill his father. There is a large step between stabbing someone with scissors and killing your father. And also, it happened when he was young. He was 15 years old. And at the time of the attack, he was roughly 33. The crime scene is not far outside of the Radley house. And also, there was the pageant going on at the school. And it was a short way to go back to his house. And the fourth reason, Mr. Tate had said, "Mr. Bob, you will lying on the ground under that tree down yonder with a kitchen knife stuck up under his rib. He's dead, Mr. Finch." And Mr. Tate says, "Mr. Ewell fell on his own knife." Tate said he can prove it, and it was said he flung Jim down, he stumbled over a root under that tree. And also, he did fall. It says suddenly he was jerked backwards and flung on the ground when talking about what happened to Bob during the attack. Thank you.
Prosecution, share your counter argument and rebuttal number 2.
So we never mentioned the part about him being younger, so that would be not applicable in this court case. So we're restating that the kitchen knife was stuck up under his ribs, so he would not. Am I doing the wrong thing? Okay. So he would not have. He would have tripped and fallen. He would have leaned against the trees when it was stuck. Causing the knife to get stuck under the ribs is not something you can just do by falling. It had to be forced and pushed there. Thank you.
Defense, share your counter argument and rebuttal number 2.
They already shared both of their, or all of their rebuttals, so they're good. So we're gonna move on to closing statements.
The closing statement is your last chance to talk to the jury about the evidence. The closing statement is your last chance to talk to the jury about the evidence and try to convince them to see the case the way you do. Prosecution, you may now say your closing statement.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Phoenix Moore, and I'm the assistant prosecuting attorney in the case of Texas versus Arthur Radley. My colleague and I called 4 witnesses to the stand to testify to the defendant's guilt. All 4 of them testified under oath that the defendant, Arthur Radley, was present at the scene of the crime. Present without an alibi. It is your responsibility to see that justice is served. Justice for Bob Ewell. Bob Ewell was the victim of a vicious murder with a kitchen knife. Arthur Radley had motive and opportunity to kill Bob Ewell. All 4 witnesses testified to the court that the defendant, Arthur Radley, was at the scene of the crime with motive and opportunity. I'd also like to say that when we were at the stand, the defendants did not refute our points. So, in the evening of Macomb County on October 31st, Bob Ewell was stabbed to death. He died an agonizing death in front of a little girl, the same little girl who testified to the court today. The prosecution has explained all the facts and evidence regarding why he must be declared guilty. Arthur Radley did not have the right to kill Bob Ewell. Given the conflicting accounts of Mr. Finch and Mrs. Finch and the sheriff, you must believe the one who was there. Jim and Jean Louise French have no reason to lie. They were simply telling what happened. Our duty in this country is not to let people get away with anything, let alone murder. A good sob story is is not a reason to take the side of the guilty party. We have a moral responsibility to protect children, but that you still do not have the right to kill someone. We are not supposed to, are we not supposed to provide justice in the court system utilizing law rather than allowing people to take justice into their own hands? If we let someone go free because of our emotions, we are not upholding the proper laws and reasoning in this country. In conclusion, we ask you to find the defendant guilty as charged. Thank you.
Defense, you may now say your closing statement.
Good afternoon, my name is Grace Moore and I'm the assistant defense attorney in this case. In the case that the prosecutor has presented to you today, there is insufficient proof to convict. We would ask for the verdict of not guilty. Mr. Radley stands here falsely accused of murder, a very serious crime. Now it's time to consider what it all means. The prosecution has presented a case, but they have not met the burden of proving Mr. Radley guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard, and that's what we must focus on. Remember, Boo Radley is presumed innocent, and that presumption remains until the prosecution proves otherwise. We have heard the inconsistencies, gaps in the evidence, and questions that have been left unanswered. Don't let the prosecution's narrative lull you into a false sense of certainty. Instead, consider the evidence through the lens of reason and justice. If you have any doubt or hesitation in the prosecution's argument, then you must find Mr. Radley not guilty. Thank you.
All the evidence has now been presented. The jury will now step into the hallway for deliberation. You will have 7 minutes to reach a verdict and come up with your reasoning behind the verdict.
So we're not gonna ask our jury to leave, we're gonna ask our prosecution and defense team to leave. So
Prosecution and
step out the hall.
I know, I'm so
In this case, the jury has voted for the defense. Boo, Arthur Radley, you are free to go. Court is adjourned. Just want to do it one more time.
Do something first, and then we're going.
And then we'll go.